Light the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish movies for 30-ish minutes. What an incredible concept. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. the Critics' Choice. With me, as always, is the people's champ, Tim Keck.
Yes, sir. This week we're talking Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. Two guys on a podcast talking Beetlejuice.
Woo!
What a wild concept that is. If you're not familiar with Beetlejuice, it's basically there's this couple in a town at Alec Baldwin and what's her face, who's fantastic. And
wow,
they die.
We're starting this podcast with Gina Davis being labeled "What's her face?"
What has she done? And Beetlejuice. And this couple dies, and they start haunting the house, like their dream house. And then a family moves in, and they're trying to get rid of the family, so they hire Beetlejuice to kick them out. Insanity ensues. Beetlejuice tries to marry a 16-year-old. And then happily ever after, they all live. So, Kevin, what do you think about Beetlejuice? How excited were you to cover this? I feel like this will resonate with our listeners more than Five Nights at Freddy would have.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's was on the docket for today. And then we just took a look at it and decided, this is not going to appeal to anyone. Tim saw it, didn't appeal to him. Just a swing and a miss.
I will say it is baffling because it's clearly like a whole nerdy thing that I'm just not associated with. And I just have no understanding of Five Nights at Freddy. And the theater was gasping. I mean, these were like kids that were enthralled in this. They were having these insane reactions to like YouTubers who were doing cameos. And it was too much. I couldn't handle it. I was baffled, Kevin. It was like if somebody who'd never done Marvel before came in off the street and watched Endgame. And then like Captain America shows up and everyone's like, whoa, look at him getting there. And then he's like, yeah, of course, Chris Evans is in this movie. Like, I don't know why everyone's freaking out, but like, yes, there's a whole backstory to that I'm not getting. So we said, fuck that. And we're talking the juice today.
We're talking the juice. I was so thrilled to make this switch because I think this is an absolute cinema classic. This thing has every single piece that I look for in a movie. I think it's got every single thing you look for in a movie. It's fun. It's got a great attitude. It's got incredible practical effects. This story. So this was the second movie Tim Burton ever made. We talked a little bit about Tim Burton's filmography on our Batman episode for Batman 1989. Tim Burton comes onto the scene with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, and then Batman. You come up that 3-movie run, you're like, this is the greatest director who's ever lived.
Yeah, I don't love Beetlejuice. I think I've just come to grips with that. I don't care about Beetlejuice. It doesn't do it for me. As a kid, I remember seeing it and just being like, man, it just went in one ear and out the other. I will say I watched the Beetlejuice cartoon way more than I ever thought about the movie. And I think the dynamic in that is not only healthier, but more interesting to me personally when the Beetlejuice and what is it? Amelia or whatever.
Lydia
are like friends who like go on adventures together and goof off.
Versus, sure. Yeah, they sanitize that for sure.
Whereas a creepy pervert who's trying to take advantage of this young girl and is a massive creep. So the main Beetlejuice character is not a likable guy. I don't really want to hang out with him or spend time with him. I think Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis are nice and pleasant, and I appreciate it. But as a kid, there's no way they're holding my interest. I'm not buying what they're selling as a child. And then Catherine O'Hara and the guy, I recognize that they're great now, but because I've seen Schitt's Creek. But back then, like, whatever. I think the only thing I'm excited about is Otho, who is just a weird placement in this movie. And you know what? I appreciated his vibe and him trying stuff. But man, it's fine. I mean, this world doesn't make any sense. It's all just bullshit. There's no real rules. It's a vibe movie. It is a vibe. And I think this is where we diverge, is you are down for a vibe movie and I need to mentally prepare better for a vibe movie. So yes, this is a vibe, and it's just not really, it doesn't really do it for me. Really do it for me. I have more thoughts, but it doesn't really do it for me.
Dude, that's fascinating. I didn't know going into this that you didn't like this movie or were indifferent, which is, I think, worse. It's got so much heart. I can completely see what you're saying. Where
so much heart. See, like, what are you guys talking about?
Are you?
Doesn't make any sense,
dude. The opening of this movie with Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin alone, they are one of like the top 3 on-screen couples that I aspire to. Like, it's basically Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. They are so in love. Like, their marriage has reached a point where they're working on this house a lot. The gifts they've gotten each other are practical. And yet it's so clear that spark of love is still there between them. This is not an early relationship love. This is a deep, committed love that they've fostered over time. And they've got a nice bonfire going.
Practical
Gina Davis
gift
and Alec
love.
Baldwin in this movie.
Wow.
The parents in Easy A, Stanley Tucci, and I am blanking on her name, but she's wonderful.
Yes, I agree.
They are incredible couple, like absolute couple goals.
They're a notch above these guys, couple. I think. They're funny. They're doing bits. They're like charming. These guys are just like sweet, harmless. It's just nice. Like, it's nice to watch them, but I don't, need to hang out with them.
I mean,
I want to hang out with.
Why would you want to?
Yeah, they're kind of boring.
Yeah, because they don't quite have that same kid appeal that like Miss Honey from Matilda has, where Miss Honey is like, she seems like she's like the cool librarian that does the story time at the library, and you go and it's like, oh, she does the story time with the hand puppets. Like, Miss Honey kind of has that vibe, whereas these are like, they're like a wonderful, delightful couple whose purpose of being wonderful and delightful is so that we will like understand that they are incapable of haunting this house and need to hire a contractor to do it for them.
Miss Honey has the vibe of the teacher who like none of her kids act out, and like you can't put your fingers on exactly why. Miss Honey's just got like a good energy, and like even the bad kids are like, oh yeah, no, I'll save my tantrum for my parents. I respect Miss Honey.
Yeah. She doesn't even need a magic school bus to do it. She's just a good teacher.
No, Frizzle is like running in there. Like, Frizzle's trying too hard. She's like, okay, who wants to see the inside of a nose? And all the kids are like, I don't know. Can't we just watch a movie? She's like, life's a movie and it's a stage. and Miss Honey, and they're like, oh, I wish we could have been in Miss Honey's class. They're just vibing right now. They're reading poems they wrote to each other.
Oh my God. Dude, we're pinballing all over the place. But Lauren and I were just talking about Sam Neill in the movie Jurassic Park, and like how Sam Neill is just kind of generally unsettling in all the different roles he has. And he, in the beginning of Jurassic Park, as Alan Grant, is talking to a kid who is like on a field trip to see this dig site and says that raptors aren't scary. And he's like, imagine if it took its talon and dragged it from your collarbone down to your intestines and they all spilled out. Like, he gets fucked up with that kid. Frizzle is one bad day away from being that guy. Like a way overpowered version of that guy.
I think Grant, his pride, like he's clearly in that moment he can either choose the child and like humoring them, or he can choose dinosaurs. And in that scenario, he is always choosing dinosaurs. And I think that's so funny. Like Miss Frizzle, at the end of the day, she's going to pick the kids. But there's like a certain version of the Frizz where it's like, oh no, Alex fell out of the bus, and she's like, fuck it, leave him behind. We got so much ground to cover,
Yeah. We hit an amoeba
can't
on
go
our
back
way
for
in.
him.
The karmic balance has been restored.
Those that fall behind are left behind. That's like Frizzle's so close to that. But Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis are just nice. They're pleasant. They're just very relaxing. And they are they the protagonists of this movie? Probably. I
would say, yeah.
They're the whole movie, which, watching it now, I'm like, oh, I get why as a kid I didn't care too much about this, because I wanted to see the Beetlejuice from the cartoon. And not only was he barely in the movie, but when he showed up, he was a friggin' pervert. And so, like, what am I excited about in this? I don't know. Alec Baldwin and Gina, I don't know. If Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis like watched me for an afternoon while my parents went on a date, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I play in my room most of the time. Like it's not like we're all chatting at the table, I don't know. I just feel nothing
a nice
for
cup
them.
of tea.
Yeah, they're
sit
sweet.
down, you have a chat.
They're like your friend's nice parents, and they ask you what's going on, and you say, "Hey, Mrs. Davis, it's going well," and then you leave, and that's your interaction with them. But for some reason, as a kid, there's people who are like, "Yes, let's stick with them forever. I'm hitching my wagon to this. This is all I care about." Also, a young Winona Ryder who wears all black and is a huge bummer and also suicidal. She is straight up ready to off herself, to delete herself. And they also make jokes about it like throughout the movie. And even like the secretary in like the death office or whatever, like slit her wrists, and they make a lighthearted joke about that. I mean, it's very weird. It's just it's a weird dark energy in this. And I don't think it pays off in the form of laughs in any real way. Like, I don't even know what the funniest part of this is. Them all dancing to some banana song. I don't know. You guys are too easily entertained. That's what I say about this.
Wow, you guys. You're referring to, I would say, most people who have seen this movie and loved it.
Most people. You guys being the 99.999% of people who've seen this movie and loved it. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I can't be alone.
In terms of how little Beetlejuice is in this movie, I looked it up. It's 14.5 minutes. In a movie that bears his name. I guess one of the big conversations is they couldn't decide what to call this movie. Tim Burton is a joke pitched scared sheetless, and the studio considered it, and Tim Burton was like, oh God, no. Oh no. I think the movie was made, I think the production was done under the name House Haunt, which is just awful. Calling it Beetlejuice, it is interesting because he is in the movie so little. He's so clearly like this incredible electric presence. Do you at least agree? I'll jump right to my when did you know, Tim? When did you know that Michael Keaton's performance as Beetlejuice is one of the all-time classic on-screen characters?
I didn't. I still don't know that. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't do anything for me. As an adult now watching this, it doesn't do anything for me. As a kid, I don't think it did anything for me.
As a performer, does it do anything for you? Can you picture,
the first thing he does is try and look up Gina Davis's skirt. And it's like, okay, how are we supposed to root for this guy? It's not. Yeah, so I'm just supposed to be grossed out by this guy. I mean, my favorite part is like when he's doing the wedding, when they're like trying to get married. And it's like, where's the rings? And he's like talking to himself and coming back and forth. And that's the closest to like fun slapstick he does. But the rest of the time, he's just so disgusting. And like, what redeemable qualities does this guy have? I'm not rooting for Beetlejuice in any way. So but I mean, maybe this is a Succession thing where I don't like Succession. I'm just like, I wish people were nice to each other in this just a little bit, and everyone's like, no, that's not the point. I feel like that's the Beetlejuice conversation. It's like he's firing his son before he can take over the company or whatever the fuck Succession's about. It's just,
you want Succession, but it's just the family of Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis in this movie. It's just a very nice family. They're all competing to run I don't know, Goodwill. Like, what's like a company that does good?
I'd love it if Beetlejuice was friends with the couple and helping them scare people off and teaching them. And it was more like the cartoon where he is like a friendly force. But now he is clearly like pure evil, right?
Oh yeah.
He just murders people. He's it. He's a deranged clown torturing children, right? He's a monster. So yeah, I don't know if I'm excited to see the monster necessarily, Well,
I think he's like a prototypical Joker character too, where it's this character that is very fascinating to watch and is unpredictable in interesting ways, but you are not rooting for what they're trying to do.
I don't know what to say about that. I mean, they're not the same, but I can't put my finger on why they're not the same. So maybe you won that. Maybe you won that. I don't know.
I'll mark that down on my scorecard. We have been keeping score since the start of this podcast.
Joker is so endearing as a character in a way that I don't know. Beetlejuice just doesn't do it for me. And I love Michael Keaton. I'm a huge Keaton head. Batman 1989 is like one of my favorite movies ever. I was all about that. I was all about the Joker in that movie. I was all about the vibe in that movie. And then this one, it's just it's weird. I feel like I haven't spent any time with Beetlejuice either. You're right. He's like barely in the movie. There's an early scene where they cut to, without revealing him, they cut to him in a chair watching TV or something, as if to be like, oh, Beetlejuice is here. I mean, I'm looking right now at the poster. It says Michael Keaton Beetlejuice. At the beginning of the movie, it's like, and Michael Keaton playing Beetlejuice. And the poster is a giant Beetlejuice sitting on top of a house with a bride and a groom. And then 3 people like on the ground. This poster is a lie. This poster is tricking you into thinking this is a movie about Beetlejuice, and it's fucking not. It's about this couple, and it's about Lydia trying to commit, deletion, and Catherine O'Hara being very nice and charming, and Booth or whatever that guy's name is. It's fine.
Man, the whole Beetlejuice aspect, I wonder how much of this is a marketing change once they realized how incredible he was at playing that character. Because Pirates of the Caribbean was going to be called Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm willing to bet they had conversations about whether or not to put Jack Sparrow in the name. Like, if they could have called it Johnny Depp is Jack Sparrow and had the poster Jack Sparrow sitting on top of a little tiny pirate ship, I'm willing to bet they would have. Same deal with like Aladdin. Like, the genie in Aladdin is a similar character that just completely is lighting up every single scene that they're in. But, it's Aladdin. They're not going to call the movie Genie. But I feel like if this marketing team had had the opportunity to, they would have.
It's like, for some reason, I think of it as like the Barney Stinson role, on like How I Met Your Mother, where he's just this extra character, like the Joey role. It's just Kramer. Like they're not driving this. Yeah, Kramer. It's the Kramer spot where they're not driving the plot. They don't have to carry any emotional load. So they get to come off the bench, just be funny and entertaining, and then disappear again. And then, 3 seasons in, we get that one episode that's about how they're trying to connect with their estranged father. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? We're finally fleshing out this goofy background character. Beetlejuice is like that, but instead of like a charming, fun guy, it's just some creepy homeless guy who's like following them around. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Kevin, let's do some beefs and thieves.
Please.
I've been giving off some beefs. Do you have like a beef about this movie that you otherwise think is perfect?
Yeah, what would my beef be if I had to make a beef?
No beef. How do you have no beef? The world. That's not a beef.
The beef is probably, I love the world. I love that we get hints at how this world works, but we don't get the full explanation of how this world works. I'm completely okay with this being soft magic. I would say the realist beef is probably that suicide is pretty extreme. It's a pretty extreme topic to touch on this casually. I don't know what the climate around suicide was like in the 80s, but
they were cool with it. Oh, no, it was chill back then. Yeah, I know you're worried about it, but no. Back then, they loved this. Well, I thought it was great.
In that case, my other beef is...
upskirts were funnier then, too.
I mean, dude, you watch an anime, and apparently they're still kicking over in Japan. People are still loving it.
They're pervs.
Wow, a lot of blanket statements being made on this podcast today.
Just everyone in Japan is a pervert because there's an anime stereotype of one perverted character. I don't know.
Sorry.
My biggest beef is the book, or one of my biggest beefs is the book, because there's a book that explains to you what happens when you're dead. There's no other instructions. I get that like dying is a bureaucracy. How do these ghosts receive a tangible object when they die? That makes no sense. So now they have to, and they also humans can't find the book. You got to keep the book a secret, all this stuff, because then they can read it and mess with things. You are a ghost, you are intangible, and you're given a solid object that any human can pick up and read. And for some reason, you have to keep, like, there are billions of those books just strewn around our planet. They're like, I mean, you'd think they'd be stacked up at some point. Like, there's got to be some room that we just haven't seen, like in the back of a pyramid, that's just full of these books that they've been handing out forever. Like, it's crazy. It makes no sense. That's
most of what's in the crates in Indiana Jones. It's just copies of this book. That's where it's printed.
The death catalog or whatever it is.
That is interesting. It's kind of like it's like that assignment you get when you're a kid to take like an egg or a bag of flour, and that bag of flour is your baby, and you gotta keep the baby safe for like a whole week. It's just that for ghosts. It's just prove that you can keep track of this book, and then that'll tell us that you're ready to keep being ghosts, even though you're being ghosts either way. It's honestly the same thing kind of works with flour and babies. Doesn't matter if you can keep the bag of flour safe. You can just go make a baby. Nobody's checking on that.
Wait, you can just go make a real baby?
Yeah, you can just go make a real baby.
Has anyone got an A in that class? Just like we gave them flour and they came back pregnant, and they're just like, well, look at that. I did it. I did the thing. I'm gonna be needing to get an A like this in real life. What are you talking about?
Oh.
I beat the challenge. You get bonus credit for that?
Yeah, what
you gotta
incredible
do. Okay,
thing.
what if
there's
they
like
come back
an overachiever, like a perfectionist?
They come back pregnant, but without the flour. What do you grade them? What do you grade them?
You got to fail that assignment.
You fail the assignment. You fail the assignment.
You got to fail the assignment. The bag of flour is you can't get extra credit without turning in the actual homework.
Maybe. I don't know. What's I can't think of another possible example. What if you assign someone a history paper and instead they go on a family vacation to Gettysburg? What do you mean? They're just going to fail the test? They went to Gettysburg. They deserve some credit for that.
Are they going to turn in the test? Well, you're describing with
no, they're not turning in the test.
Turning in the test.
They're just doing a better version of that thing. I don't know. Do you have a thief? Like, what about this movie like really does it for you?
If I had to pick one thing, I absolutely love the feel of this world that they've accomplished. This movie, the entire movie has such a distinct vibe to it. They have, even if you disagree with that tone, they have a very distinct tone. And it is a tone that has opened itself up to all kinds of really fun, spooky hijinks, like practical effect monsters. And you believe some of the wilder set design choices that are made because Catherine O'Hara is specifically supposed to be this modern artist. And it's just really cool. They put a lot of great legwork in up top to open it up so that they could do all this like really cool wild shit. How about you? Do you have any thieves on this?
I mean, I agree. I mean, Catherine O'Hara's decorating. I think that's very fun. And the house looks so weird. And I love that they set up a wall and like they're gonna build an extension on the house, and then they just don't. They just go and they sit outside in it. That's insane. They're crazy. And then she does these sculptures that I was like, I don't know, maybe in this world people think they're good. And then later on, someone's like, and your sculptures suck. And it's like, oh wait, so it's not just me. Like, this actually sucks in real life. Like, do other people find her house attractive? I'm like fascinated now about how art is viewed in this world. Right. Like the same person who designed these sculptures that people hate and has been making derivative art designed her house in an insane way that honestly I kind of liked. Like, are other people in this world like this is the ugliest house I've ever seen? I don't know. And the husband just goes along with it. They just cut to a scene where the two of them are just out in like they're out on their like extension that isn't an extension. And he's just there and they're chilling and vibing. And I don't know. I think like the family moments and the interactions between the characters is pretty fun. I mean, they're all kind of weird and nice. I I like it. And to your point, I thought the snake looked great.
Oh, the snake
it's
is
so fun,
cool, dude.
It's so fun.
Oh my God.
I didn't understand why Beetlejuice could do the snake and they couldn't. Like, why is Beetlejuice so much better? And then by the end of the movie, they're levitating things, they're playing music. It seems like you just get better at being a dead ghost over time. And so since he's been doing it so long, he's just better than they are. But, you know, whatever. I don't know.
I can see that.
I got a one for you. When did you know, though, for you?
Oh, hit me.
When did you know that Sandworm was the hero of this movie? Because the whole time they're talking about Beetlejuice and his name, you got to say his name three times. And I don't really, and it's the rules around that seem weird to me too, because sometimes you say his name three times, he shows up, but then if you say it again, then he leaves, but then he's like still able to get out. I think it just seemed a little flimsy, but then at the end of the day, they're all trying to say Beetlejuice and it's like, they're teasing it. We're going to get a third one. We're going to get a third one. And then no, Sandworm comes out of nowhere and just eats his ass. And then the movie's over and everyone gets along again. And the unresolved conflict between the family resolves and everyone's just happy. And it's just very weird. It's very funny that at the end of the movie, they're just like, well, Sandworm ate him. And now we're all just going to be happy now. It's goofy, but I liked it.
If you know you live under the constant threat of a sandworm, it really puts everything in perspective. You got to make every moment count. You got to make peace with everyone in your life. You can't leave anything left unsaid because at any moment, floor, ceiling, wall could just bust away. Sandworm coming right for you.
For a second, I thought they were going to explore. I'm disappointed they didn't explore Sandworm world more, you know. But if I'm ranking my Sandworm movies, it is Beetlejuice and then Dune. So
interesting.
You know, it's not entirely hate. I enjoy it.
Sure. I think there's going to be, you know, I think maybe your perspective might change. A couple movies down the road, we're going to get an episode where Sandworm connects with its estranged father, which might be the Sandworm from Dune. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Okay, pulling up the show list. You got any other thoughts on this movie? I mean, sell me on this movie. What is it that's so great about it?
I guess it is a vibe. You know, I really enjoyed its take on the afterlife and the paranormal. I think it's a very fun take without being excessively schlocky or little kiddish or schmoozy, not schmoozy, but like syrupy, like very like, I don't know, like Halloween Town is pretty syrupy. There's not a lot of real danger in Halloween Town.
Right.
The worst we get is like, you know,
there's real danger in this. There's like a threat of assault in this.
It's, I mean,
like Beetlejuice is kissing people on the mouth who did not ask for it, and
it's like the first thing he does. It's awful. He's a horrible guy. They, you know, this is a little shout out to a movie that dropped on Shudder. When this comes out, it'll be this previous weekend, so it's out there if you still want to watch something spooky, even though it's we're in November now. It's called When Evil Lurks. It's got a bunch of possessed people in it. And if you've ever watched a movie about possession and thought, nobody who's possessed is doing anything that scary, this one will do it for you.
Okay.
This one will answer that question of why isn't anybody doing anything more fucked up.
I gotta check it out. And I'm also just gonna throw out the conference since we're throwing out movie suggestions. I just watched it. It's Swedish. It's like a slasher / corporate retreat. And it's pretty funny and pretty brutal. So it's great. Check those out. And Kevin, speaking of checking out, is this movie above or below the Air Meridian?
Way above. Way above.
Okay, this will be tough for us. Better or worse than oh my gosh. The Exorcist.
Better.
Expendables.
Better.
Fast X.
Better.
I just disagree with. I mean, I don't believe in any of this stuff. Dungeons and Dragons.
Better.
Okay, so the conversation is like, is it better or worse than Spider-Man 2?
I think it's better.
No, No. Okay. Well, I'll just find a place to put it. Separately. It's going between. Oh man, it doesn't even deserve to. It's going between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Dungeons and Dragons. I get it. I get that this is cool and people like it, and I don't know, you're pretending to care because it's like, we got to play two different sides on the podcast. We both can't come out against it. What do you think? Is it solid?
I can't believe you're breaking kayfabe right now, dude.
Yeah, the only reason you're saying positive things about this is so we can antagonize each other. Do you think it's prestigious?
No, I think it's solid, and I think it's whatever the top is, great, really good. I think it's solid, great.
I'll go with good. It's good.
Wow,
great. What are you talking about? I mean, this is our most decisive one, probably. Just, I don't know. It's mid in my opinion. This is mid. Mid can be okay, but as the kids say, it's mid.
Oh my God. I mean, I guess I just couldn't disagree more. I will say, I do want to put a pin in this real quick before we wrap up. While we are working on the rankings, can we just go ahead and formally put Expend4bles above Fast X? Do you think it belongs above Fast X?
Then it's got to hop everything everywhere all at once. You know what? We'll hash it out in our review preview episode. That's the place for it.
It's coming up tomorrow. We hope to see you back then. Until then, thanks for listening. Stay nerdy, everybody.
Stay nerdy. Bye.